Welcome to my channel, Modern Thatched Living. This is the introduction video. Behind me you can see a thatched cottage that we bought about 4 years ago. At the time it looked somewhat different. And here's a photograph of what it looked like when we bought it. And we thought that we would renovate it and bring it up to modern standards when we purchased it. It was obvious that it needed some work, and so in the first year we started to plan what we were actually going to do. It became obvious that the middle section in particular needed quite substantial work, and we ended up rebuilding the middle section. Now the house has quite a bit of history. The middle section was actually the oldest part. The house behind me used to be just 2 cottages, which were the middle section without the 2 end pieces. Then in the 1970s, the bit to your left was added, and this is a modern build with a thatch on the top, and then the bit to the right was added, and the bit to your right is a barn that was relocated from Suffolk and then just added onto the building without much thought to the interface between the 2 buildings. So for instance, the old back door in the middle section was just left, which was a really odd thing to do, but that's what was done. Now the building as a whole didn't really work. The bit that was added on in the 1970s was clearly designed to be an annex that an older person could live in. It had a lift shaft and a lift that didn't work. That obviously has limited use if you can't get the lift repaired. The house didn't really need a lift and a lift shaft, so we took those out and remodeled that area and turned the lift shaft into a new set of stairs. So after the first year of planning, we then moved into renovation of the left-hand side of the building, bringing that up to modern standards, adding a new bathroom, extending the building upwards a bit, and getting that habitable. While we were doing that, we were living in the right-hand end of the building. On completion of that end, we moved back into that section and then started renovating the middle section in the following year. As I say, it had become obvious that we needed to really rebuild that section, so we knocked it down completely, took it to ground, built new foundations, and then used modern materials to build the section that you see, but in the style of the old building. So it's actually a brick and steel building in the middle, although it's got a thatch roof, which is quite unusual for a modern build, and we've added oak internally to make it look as though it is an older building. So the barn on your right is the remaining old structure, and we're in the process of modernizing, renovating, putting a new staircase in, and basically taking out tacky 1970s aluminium windows, doors, that sort of thing, and doing something a bit more sympathetic with the building. Now, both I and my wife work full-time, and so because of the scale of the work up to now, we've had to get contractors in to do most of it. We've done the smaller scale stuff ourselves, but quite frankly, we haven't had time to do much more than that. We're now at a stage with the building that we need to do quite a lot of the work ourselves. It is on a smaller scale. It's things like building cupboards, finishing off rooms, putting in skirting boards, putting in doors, that sort of thing. So well within my capabilities and the sort of time that I have, which is basically weekends and evenings. So for those that are interested, the thatch roof is actually reed, and it's about 300 mil thick, I think. So it's actually quite insulating in its own right. As part of the works, what we've tried to do is make this a very thermally efficient building, and we've installed air source heat pumps. And I'll talk about those features in future videos, hopefully, because I know particularly things like air source heat pumps interest people. We get a lot of people stopping along the road to ask about them when they see them in the front of our house and they can see the work that we've been doing. So anyway, the channel itself will almost certainly be a lot of DIY and woodworking type videos, and hopefully I'll be able to show you some of my other interests as well, things that I've done, things that we've done on the building, outside, because there are some quite unusual features here that I would like to show you, which may be of interest to some people and value to people who want to try and deal with particular problems that they might have in their own buildings, and just generally give you a feel for the sort of life that we live here. Anyway, hope you enjoy it, and thank you.